welcome everybody to One Clear Lake. I'm so glad you could join us today, and we have a really great group. It looks like 22 people, and then I'm sure some of you have a couple of more extras in the room, so we probably have more people than that. Today we're going to hear about fundraising fundamentals, and I don't have to bring it up too much, I'm sure, is that everyone's aware of all the changes that have gone on, and fundraising has really become quite the challenge for all of us as nonprofits and the organizations we're a part of. But, you know, the funding need is still there, right? So we're still giving services and we're still needing to pay bills. And we just had to all kind of quickly jump in the cold pool and try and get creative. And so we wanted to hear from a panel today, some people that have been successful, and we want to hear both, though. We want to hear lessons learned, success. I'm asking you to please keep yourself muted and to give our speakers plenty of opportunity and time to share their knowledge with us. I'm asking that you jot down your questions so you remember them, and then we'll have a question and answer at the end of the program. So that's how we're going to moderate today. I am going to go down the participant list and call on you just by your first name. And if you would please give a quick introduction of yourself, first and last name, and what agency you're representing. So I'll start here. I'm Sharon Prue, Executive Director of Hope Village, and I have Stephanie Fontenot here in the room. So let's go to Glenn Friedman.
Hey, Sharon. I'm Glenn. I don't represent anybody, but I am Sherry Sweeney's great-grandfather, and I figured that was enough to join the festivities.
I love it. Catherine?
Hi, I'm Katie Hill, and I'm with the Friends of Freeman Library.
Wonderful. Ava?
Hi, I'm Ava Lunsford, and I'm representing all the dogs and cats at Bay Area Pet Adoptions.
Christina?
I'm Christina Thompson. I'm the branch manager over at the Freeman Library.
And Deborah? Why is it not showing up? Do we have Deborah Lane?
Yes, sorry, I was on mute and I was just babbling away.
I get it.
I'm Deborah Lane. I'm the Executive Director for the Clear Creek Education Foundation. And I have some of our board members here with us. I'd like them to introduce themselves. We just finished a board meeting, so they're here with me. So I'm just going to turn the screen
Perfect.
over now.
Yeah. I'm chairman of the board for the Executive Foundation.
I'm Kelsey McNeil, and I am the Marketing and Events Manager for the Clear Creek Education Foundation.
Okay, everybody on this end, you'll get to Jill in a minute.
Okay, great. Ellen?
I'm Ellen King, and with Bay Area Houston Valley on the board of directors and executive director last year.
Okay, thank you. Elise?
She sent a message in the chat, Elise Miller with the rose. I don't have audio, but hi, everyone.
I love it. Thank you, Julia. Julia, how about we go with you next?
Julia Gallagher. I serve on the board of the Bay Area Chorus of Greater Houston.
Gail?
Hi, I'm Gail Nelson, Executive Director for Family Promise of Clear Creek.
And let me see, we're jumping around here. How about Joe?
Hi, I'm Joe McGinnis. I'm on the board of Friends of Freeman Library.
And I'm seeing Milagro.
That's me. I'm Milagros Staniega from Evelyn Meadow Library. I'm the branch manager.
Okay, and how about Street Grace?
Hi, my name is Brianna Fetkovich. I'm the Director of Outreach for Street Grace. I'm a prospective member of the Chamber. We're a nonprofit that fights child sexual exploitation.
And if I hit you If I miss you, let me know, please. Gail Nelson?
I've already gone, but maybe Jill might want to go.
Kat?
Hi, Kat Clemens with Bay Area Turning Point. I'm the development director.
Kelly?
Hello there. I am Kelly King. I am the communications director and event coordinator for Anchor Point, and I do contract for a few other nonprofits in the area.
Wonderful. And who have I missed?
I'm going to jump in. This is Jill Reason. I'm going to jump into Deborah Lang's screen. I'm going to really put Zoom on a whole different level. I don't have audio. I'm on my phone because we just finished another meeting, but I'm the executive director for Bay Area Houston Valley and Theater. I'm going to watch you, but not talk to you, unless I jump to Deborah. Are you confused?
No, I love it. It's a whole new world. We're all Zooming.
You miss me?
Please go.
I'm Norit Mittelfeld with Congregation Shal Shalom. Among the rest, I'm publicity for the congregation.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
Peter, did you introduce yourself?
Peter Winchell with Community Schools Bay Area.
And Michelle, did you introduce yourself? I think Michelle was trying.
Sorry, my participants list is frozen, so I'm not able to scroll down to the bottom and see like the last several names. So that's why I'm asking for everybody's assistance. If I've missed you, I don't want to.
I'm on, but I think you're going to get to me later. It's Tracy first.
Oh, yes. Well, no, what you were going to be next. So how about Tracy with Frost Bank? Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? And we want to thank you so much for being our sponsor for our One Clear Lake. It has really made a difference. You can see by the numbers of people that we have that participate each month in our speaking series. And we just want to thank you for helping us make that possible.
I appreciate that. I think we still have someone not on mute, and that might be affecting the audio. So just a gentle reminder to mute your phones if you're not muted. So I'm Tracy Ariano, and I'm with Frost Bank, and I'm in our public finance group, and we have the great honor of being the sponsor for One Clear Lake this year. And I think that you're seeing the great components of best practice and sharing the strengths and failures associated with nonprofits. There are so many good things that happen, but there's also those things that as you share best practices amongst yourself, you get, great traction in the community. So I'm so grateful to be able to be a part of your call every 2 weeks or so, every week or every month, sorry. If y'all are on as many calls as I am, it feels like it's every day. But from the perspective of Frost, I just want to thank you all for participating. I'm so sorry. Let me mute my phone real quick and hang. Welcome to working from home when there's stuff going on the outside. So sorry about that. I did want to make a couple of comments. I am not going to be able to stay on the whole time today and hear what this great panel has to say. So I'm looking forward to getting the cliff notes maybe from Jenny later. But I do want to make a couple of comments that we've heard pretty regularly. One is related to just give yourself some grace. Fundraising is hard, especially in times like this. Make the ask. Don't hesitate. Most people are very gracious in times like this. And then don't try to fit a square peg in a round hole. If the event is just not going to work because of COVID, don't make the event work, right? Sometimes an event can be more overhead than necessary given the situation we're in. So those are my two, quick tidbits that I would tell you from a person who only works with nonprofits. We talk about it all the time. And so those are my two tidbits. Give yourself some grace, make the ask, and then ultimately don't put a square peg in a round hole. But I'm so grateful to see all your wonderful faces today, and I hope you get a lot out of this wonderful session. And again, I'm really sorry I'm going to have to cut out at about 10:20. So thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing some of it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Tracy. Again, we want to thank Frostbank for being our sponsor. Now I get the honor of introducing our three panelists today. And so I'm going to go through their bios for you, and then we're going to start on our questions. First is Kelly King. She's a communications director for Anchor Point, developing, delivering, and managing brands and story messages to local, national, and international audiences. She's been a director of development, event coordinator, and communications director for the past 6 years. Kelly developed an enduring devotion for the nonprofit sector as a beneficiary of Anchor Point's Project Hope, which is healing over past experiences. Women's Recovery Group nearly 8 years ago. This experience gave her a deep appreciation for how nonprofits seek to improve the quality of life for our region, one life at a time. Also today, we have Deborah Lane. She's the marketing and fundraising professional with 15 years of experience as an executive director of education foundations. She has over 35 years of experience in marketing, advertising, fundraising, business relations, and consumer goods packaging design. She has also actively served 15 years as a Rotarian in leadership roles, including past president, committee chair, and executive board director. Ms. Lane has been active in the Greater Houston Area Association of Education Foundations since 2005, where she also served as president in 2007 and 8. She's been an active TSPRA member since 2006 and has served as a presenter for workshops at TSPRA and TASB, which is the Texas Association of School Boards, conferences, and vice president on the TSPRA board. In her role as executive director for the Clear Creek Education Foundation, during the past 2 years, she had worked with the board of directors to gift over $3.8 million to innovative programs since 1992 and support the Leader in Me program for students across CCISD. Ms. Lane will tell you that her passion is truly about providing the very best education possible to our kids and feels blessed to do this on a daily basis through her work with the Clear Creek Education Foundation. She's a super proud mom of 4 CCISD kids and enjoys travel and golf with her husband, David. And also with us today, we have Katie Bestedo. She's the current chairman of the Clear Creek Education Foundation. She's been involved with the organization for the past 10 years, starting at the gala committee level to serving on the executive board for the past 4 years. She is also a 10-year member of the Assistant League of Bay Area, where she held numerous leadership roles. Before joining these organizations, she was a volunteer at CCISD schools her children attended, and also volunteered with Lighthouse Christian Ministries, Interfaith Christian Ministry, Communities in Schools, and St. Paul's and St. Clair's Catholic Church. She's married to her husband, Bill, and has 2 children, Emily and Ben, and a daughter-in-law, Hillary. So please, everybody, help me welcome our 3 speakers today. Oh, there we go. Oh, silent clap. I love it. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to ask the question number 1, and I know that we're going to have responses for that one from Deborah, right, and Kelly. So how about I read question number 1? We know that basic fundraising principles are still relevant. What have you and your team done to focus back on the basics of fundraising during the pandemic? Kelly?
Hi, thanks. That's a great question. I think for us, it's been imperative that we continue to foster authentic relationship. And we do that by reaching out to not just our significant donors, but all of those in the trenches that have been with us for the last several years, asking if they're okay, asking if we can pray for them, asking if there's any needs that they may have that need to be met, and just really checking in. We do that through notes. We do that through phone calls. We have taken our list, segmented it, and handed it to different peeps in our organization that already have relationship. And we've given them assignments to just continue to reach out and check on them. There's, a donor that came to mind. I gave her a ride to one of our donor dinners once. She's elderly. And so, I've reached out a couple of times during the pandemic just to see if there was anything she needed. And also keeping in mind some of our past clients that may become grateful patient type donors, and reached out to them to see if they've needed anything. So it's really about just deepening connection and remembering that while we may be feeling like we're treading water, because some of us have not been closing our doors, others are having to get extremely creative and inventive, and it's stretching our brain capacity, to say the least. We can't forget to continue to build connection and foster relationships and connections that we already have currently.
Thank you. Deborah?
Kelly, great job on covering relationships, because that's so important to everything we do. And even through everything we're going through, that's probably the most important thing that we can be doing right now. So the second part that I'd like to add is the 3 Ps, I call them, that we've been practicing over the last several months: patience, pivoting, and planning. We all have been working through this, and I'll start with planning. Planning really hasn't changed a whole lot, except for we have to get more creative. But pivoting has probably been the hardest part, because we feel like we're doing some of the same activities over and over. We're just moving the day, giving ourselves more time, giving our donors and our partners more time. Time seems to be something that we're all hoping this will all come to an end and we will get back to some kind of normalcy, but we have learned a lot. So with this, there's a lot of patience that we've had to practice, and understand that everybody's in a different place with how COVID is affecting them. And so we need to be sympathetic, or not sympathetic, empathetic most of the time to what they're experiencing. But overall fundraising really hasn't changed. It's just that we have to slow down. We're not moving as fast as we'd like, and we're not seeing things happen as fast as we'd like. So again, a lot of patience and a lot of pivoting. And Dr. Smith gave us that pivoting and planning early on, and it has been so true. We continue to do it, and it's probably something we're going to continue to do for many months. So
Thank you. Question number 2. We have several people who have expressed concern in making the ask during the pandemic. Have you done anything to address sensitivity and/or timing when making the ask? And let's start with Kelly.
So for us, what I have seen is when we start with the connections and checking in with our existing relationships, I think it's also important that you are in tune to what their needs are. So oftentimes we'll go in, we have an agenda, if we're honest with ourselves, and we really want to get those deepened connections so that we can help continue doing the work that we're doing in the community. You can lose sight of the actual authentic relationship if you go in with just that as your primary focus. So in those conversations, when you are touching base with your donor base and you are making the ask, whether it's on a corporate level, whether it's on an individual high-level donor, mid-level donor, one-time giver, it just really doesn't matter. It's all the same. You need to be listening to what their needs are and where they're at. So if you've already been fostering that relationship, you're going to know where they are in their giving or financial, because you've had these conversations previously. So with that being said, we are always armed with other ways to help and serve. So maybe they can't help financially this season, this month, or this quarter. So we have other ways to help and serve. We want to keep them plugged in, engaged, and connected. And I think that's really important. But the other thing is not to be fearful of the ask. So if you've already done your due diligence, you've fostered the connection, you know the relationship, then asking, I've actually had a sponsor tell me, look, Kel, I need you to go back and ask these 3 people in my network because they are booming right now. There are some that are struggling, but there are others that are really doing well. And there's always uncertainty. If we were really honest and go back, there's always something going on financially in the world. There's strife, there's all kinds of things. So we're always going to have obstacles to overcome, but it's not afraid to do the ask, and then have other ways they can help connect. Maybe they can donate goods or services. Maybe they can just pray for the ministry, or they could stuff envelopes for you. There's other ways that they can help, keeping it, social distancing in mind, and just have different ways that they can get connected, engaged. Maybe they can just like, share, and comment on your stuff on social media to help you get the word out. There's so many ways that they can still be of service. And I think that helps when making the ask. And it certainly depends on who the audience is as well, as to where you would go with that.
Oh, thank you. Katie, would you like to share?
Sure. One of the things that we found out, Deborah was on a webinar probably back in March or April timeframe, and one of the things that came out of that was just reach out to our donors, our previous donors, say from 2019, and not to make the ask, but just as a hello, how are you? How are things going through this, throughout this time? And so we did that, and it was just really nice for those of us who made the phone calls to talk with our donors and see how they're doing. And they were extremely appreciative of what we had done. So because we were in a sensitive mode of, we can't reach out, we can't ask them for money at the beginning of all of this. And that's when we would have really put on a push with our annual campaign. We just kind of took a step back and kind of went with, what we felt was in the best interest of the community. And it was welcomed by our donors, and we were just pleasantly surprised with the reception that we got from those donors.
Thank you. Tracy, are you still on the line with Frost Bank? Okay, because I know she had to drop off, but I appreciated that Tracy was also able to share her perspective, the bank's perspective about the ask back in the introduction. So that goes along with what, kind of what we're talking about, and reaffirming that that ask can be there. It's just knowing where your people are positioned at that time.
Hey, Sharon, could I just add something?
Please.
These webinars have been so helpful, and let me give you a good example. Tracy was on this webinar, a month ago with us, when she suggested, go ahead and make the ask. She was a donor saying, make the ask, understand, try to be sensitive about your ask, but go ahead and do it. Well, we were waiting to do that. When she said to do that, that's when we did our email campaign with some language that was very empathetic to where they were, offering them some options. And we got some good feedback, and we're still receiving donations from those emails. But I want to say these webinars have been so powerful in helping all of us share, and having our partners say, we're ready. And I think a lot of us were uncertain about, are they ready? So I just want to reiterate that webinars are powerful, and I think we're all learning a great deal from each other. And I just hope that we will continue to share this information, because there is so much that y'all have suggested throughout this process that has really made my job a lot less stressful, just knowing that there's some other things going on that are bigger than what I've even thought about. So I just want to say thank you and let you know that this is really important to all of us. So thank you.
Oh, that's great. That was always been our intent and the planning committee's intent to try and bring us all together and bring topics that are relevant to everybody. And I don't know, the timing just kind of seemed perfect actually, because we're all facing challenging times, and here we are being able to come together as a group and share. So I appreciate everybody and value everyone that's here today. Okay, well, let's move on. This one's going to be exciting. What new things have you and your team done to continue fundraising during the pandemic? Now, that's the big question. We all want to hear from each other. Kelly, can you get us started?
Happy to. This is my favorite question. So we have done some extremely exciting new things at Anchor Point, and I can tell you, I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hydrant at times because I'm learning so many new things. I am always in the realm of digital communications, but there's just so much to learn. So we started off with running a digital campaign. We are boosting posts every single day, and it's in an arena that we don't typically boost in. We don't even typically post about. So that's interesting, and we've had a lot of feedback. I've already seen, I think I looked last night, there was one post that we've received over 16,000 likes and several hundred comments and over, I think, 1,000 or 2,000 shares. And we are posting every single day and then doing a fundraiser every 2 weeks, a mini fundraiser online every 2 weeks. And so that will be a campaign that we're doing for 90 days. The other area that we have done that is completely different is trying to find a way to engage with these new donors that we will cultivate through our social media platforms that have never walked through our doors. They don't know who Anchor Point is. And so how do we get them engaged and move them to the next level? So we have developed, and also with our current database, our current donor base and volunteers, like how do we keep them engaged and keep them in the loop with what's going on? Because we're rocking and rolling. Our doors haven't closed. Our clients have doubled since COVID. So we are still in the trenches, and if not like more so. And so the way we're doing that is through a new app that we've developed for Anchor Point. And that will help them to engage with us. And there's going to, it's in beta testing right now. So we've got our staff, our board, and some of our volunteers, and we're just now starting to roll it out to the public. And that will help us to keep people engaged, let them know, keep them in the loop, and of course, give them easy ways to donate. And then we have our gala, which is now completely virtual. And that's super exciting. I'm working with a film production crew. I've done tons of research on successful virtual galas, and that has even changed since the beginning of COVID to current. What was working in the beginning is not necessarily working now. So there's lots of new things that are exciting that I've learned and I'm beginning to implement. We'll be filming for it this Saturday. And I'm really excited. We've already written the script and met with the production crew. And so I'm in the trenches on that one. And we are offering that on 2 different days. And I think that's really important. And then there's going to be a long-term plan to use what we've taped ongoing with smaller, intimate donor dinners, in-home donor dinners. So instead of the table that we would normally sell at a gala, we are selling watch party host. So you could be a watch party host, and there's different options, catered dinners, catered desserts, things like that that'll be delivered to the host. And so it just looks a little different. And we're working through all the logistics on that. And it is super fun, exciting, and there's a lot of things to work out when you're doing something you've never done before. So those are 3 ways that we are working to continue fundraising and new things that we're trying during the pandemic.
Thank you. Wow, it sounds like you have a lot going on. I'm sure people are jotting down questions feverishly at this very moment. So be prepared to answer them at the end. Let's see. So Katie, would you like to share?
Yeah, we had some creativity between Deborah and Kelsey. And at the beginning, what we wanted to do is we did what was called a blackout bingo card. And we were trying to support the restaurants that support us through our Dine Out to Donate fundraiser that we do every October. And so the card was made up, and everyone could pull it off when they went into the restaurant, or they just had to check off the restaurants that they went to. And then we had some generous donors who gave us gift cards so that we could have a drawing at the end of the time. When somebody did a blackout card, they sent it in, and at the end of the time period, we drew for winners to receive $25 gift cards. So it was just basically a thank you to our supporters in the restaurant business, and tried to also give back to them. The other thing that we changed from our fashion show that we had scheduled for the end of March. And so right as we were shutting down, we had everything up and running for this fashion show. So we planned for the fashion show. We pivoted to a virtual event, and it was extremely successful. We had received all these baskets from the schools that they donate to us. And so we had all of that available to us. Our sponsors were still on board. They wanted to continue to support us. So they kept their funding with us. And then we took these baskets, put them online, and did a virtual auction. And it was really neat because we had a number of people bidding back and forth with each other. We brought on a lot of new people that we had not seen, who ended up purchasing some of these baskets by winning with the winning bid. And we actually, in terms of we had very little cost, but we came out having raised almost $10,000 from that virtual auction. And we still raised our $33,000 that we planned to raise for our fashion show. So that was extremely successful. So the other thing we did was we started a Give a Grant campaign, and with a generous donation from Glenn Friedman and his wife, we are able to provide t-shirts to anyone who will donate $100 towards our Give a Grant campaign. And that has been up and running and doing extremely well. It was just reported in our board meeting that we're close to $50,000 with the Give a Grant campaign. So those are three of the events that and activities that we've been doing to keep the foundation going, and just kind of fun, some new things, but once again, all the planning that was done and what we pivoted on it. So we've been extremely happy with the results from that.
Yes, it sounds like, and I would say you had, is it everywhere? I would say that you had an exceptional challenge because you already had things in place to move one place, and then all of a sudden you're going virtual. So kudos on making that successful.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've definitely talked about virtual fundraising. So I want to get your feeling, the panel's feelings on some lessons learned, because you have already or in the process of putting out the virtual campaign and virtual fundraisers. And I'm sure you're discussing, like we all are these going to be some of the new norms? Are these going to be, are we in the future planning on doing some virtual items, or do you see your agency going right back to the events that you've been doing? Kelly?
Well, I see us doing more of a hybrid. We will definitely, now that we have begun dabbling into the virtual realm of things, have learned so much, and we'll be just continuing to learn. And I want to just second what Deborah had mentioned earlier, just how much we've learned from others and how we've been able to share what we've learned with so many other nonprofit leaders in our community. I know I have people that reach out to me, and I've reached out to others, and everybody's just been so willing to help one another that it's, to me, it's just why I love our community. The Clear Lake region is definitely one of the best places on the planet to be a part of, and we really are changing the world. And so for us, I would definitely, I think, you know, engaging in person, nothing will ever replace that. You need to have that in-person contact. You need to be able to read body language, to just connect with one another. So the moment we're able to do anything in person, we will. Then, but also the virtual arena just has unlimited capacity to reach everyone in every corner of the world. So why would we not get better and begin using those platforms? And most of it is very cost efficient, if not free. So why would we not? I definitely believe for us, it will be a hybrid model though, going forward.
Thank you. I love that. Katie, do you have anything to add?
Well, we just made a decision this morning that our gala, which was scheduled for November 7th, is going virtual. So we are just at the beginning stages of that. I sure hope that we can get back to seeing people and be together. I just think we all miss that and need that. So in terms of what we're going to be doing, I mean, because we're just pivoting right today, I don't know what we're going to do, you know what, moving forward. I think, you know, as we see how our gala goes, and, you know, we've seen what the virtual event looked like, you know, there's always a possibility. And I think we're always open to making changes if it's in the benefit of the foundation and can be beneficial, you know, to CCISD. So.
Thank you. Yes, I think, I think the pandemic has actually been a catalyst for pushing us all into the future, I feel like, you know, without intending it. So I think that we'll all walk away, you know, doing things a little bit differently, no matter when they go back to normal or what you can call normal. But I think in some ways it's been good for us. It has stretched us, I think. So we're going to reach out now with our last question. And then after that, again, I will open it up for question and answer because I know all of you are dying to ask your questions. But we want to know, how are you keeping momentum when it comes to fundraising? And of course, momentum can be connections with your donors, new connections, funds, any way that you see that fitting into your organization. Kelly, would you like to share?
There. Yeah, so for us, you know, I think keeping momentum is not difficult at this point for my particular organization, only because we are on a fast track right now. So momentum is something that is not a challenge for us, and that, but that may not be the case for everyone. I know that I can speak to the beginning of the pandemic. As a communications director, it felt again like I was drinking from a fire hydrant. There was so much to communicate, so many changes to how we were doing business, and how, you know, from all of our different audiences, from clients to donors to, you know, volunteers and just general public. And so we had so many different messages to communicate. But then after we had been on that track for, you know, between the 60 to 90 day mark, there was kind of a lull, and there wasn't a lot of new things to communicate. We had to kind of roll back and pivot back again. And because of some of the new regulations that were put back in place concerning lockdown. But other than that, it just got kind of like a lull for us. So that was the most challenging piece for me. But I will say that the moment we started really, we got some answers from our board. There were some decisions that were made on our gala and what it might look like. I was planning a gala on 3 fronts: an in-person gala, a hybrid virtual and in person and a totally virtual gala. So that had the momentum for me and my team starting to pick back up. But the actual moment that it just got on like Donkey Kong was when we decided to go completely virtual, because then I had an absolute focus and plan. So for me and my team with communications and events and the fundraising aspect of that, it's really not been difficult, but it's because we're in event season full on right now and we're learning so much new. So I would say that if you're struggling with being in that lull, that you find something that you can really focus on and sink your teeth into and learn everything that you can about it. Because I promise you, before this thing is all over, you're gonna need to know that information, or someone else that you know is gonna need it. So just learn as much as you can, get as prepared as you can, have your plan A, B, and C backups in place, and you'll be just fine, I think.
Thank you so much. What wonderful advice. And, I keep hearing a theme too, is that I think we all need to remember how important it is to keep our board of directors engaged, right? In making those quick decisions you keep talking about, we need to keep them up to date, engaged in what's going on, let them know decisions need to be made quickly sometimes, to pivot. And so we certainly need to make that connection and keep them as partners. I love that. Deborah, would you like to share?
Sure, Sharon, you used my word, engagement. From the very beginning, when this all happened, it was like, I almost felt like we were watching a movie and somebody hit pause and we froze. And it was like, what do we do? All of our events were on hold. So what do we do to stay active? And engagement, it's been a transitional thing within engagement, but it started with engagement of how do we stay active in our community? How do we show that we're supporting our community so that we are still involved? We still have a purpose that we can talk about. So the engagement early on was about how can we reach out into our community, which is why we did the blackout bingo. Because that was supporting our restaurants. That was something we could do that didn't cost us any money, and we could still spread the word of what the Education Foundation did. And granted, our fundraising was on hold. We weren't pulling in the money, but we had to start transitioning into, okay, now engagement is about reaching out to our partners. We are gonna start doing some fundraising activities that look different, like virtual auction and virtual fashion show events. So then it transitioned into engagement with our partners and reaching out, like Katie mentioned, to see how they're doing. And then that went a step further to reach out and start making the ask. So now I feel like we're in the third phase of engagement. School is starting, and for the Education Foundation, this is when we start putting the money to work for our students and our teachers. So now our board, we're discussing, because we all know our fundraising is down. So now we've got to look at the money that we're raising and putting that money to work in the schools, into our community, for our teachers, so that the community can see we are engaged, we are moving, we are going to still have events. We've just now pivoted again for our Top Golf tournament, moving it into November. So we're still raising money, but the bigger part now is putting that money to work for our teachers and our kids. And that's where I feel like we're in stage 3 of engagement. And it just looks different every time you look up.
Yes, I agree. I want to thank our panel today, Kelly, Deborah, and Katie, for sharing. Y'all did a fabulous job. And like I said, it just, many of you have commented that just being able to share and hear from others has been fantastic. So we are going to move now, if you don't mind, answering a few questions. Ladies, you good? Okay, let's see. Jenny, how would you like me to proceed?
We could do a couple things, guys. We can either raise your hand, use the raise your hand feature, or to have some discussion, or if you want to type a question into the chat, either would be perfect.
Okay, Jenny, do you mind calling on them when they raise their hand?
No, not at all. So right now, I think Ava raised her hand with her real raise a hand feature. I love it. So Ava, Tell me what you've got going on. Talk to us.
Okay, my question, I was curious, the Give a Grant campaign with the Clear Creek Education Foundation, can you tell us a little bit about that? That Friedman started.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part of that.
The Give a Grant campaign.
Right.
Can you tell just a little bit about it?
What we do, you know, our funding to the district is we have grants that teachers write for us. That's our Teachers Innovative Grants. We have student teacher integrative grants. We have mini grants. And so from the funding that we receive, that's how we pay for those grants. We had gone through all of the grants that the teachers had submitted to us. We had selected grants in the amount approximately $125,000 that we were getting ready to award. From that, we use a lot of our funding that we do from our fundraisers to pay for those grants. So all of a sudden, since that stopped, what we did was we took the Give a Grant and we offered that up where you could make a $100 donation, and that would go towards the Give a Grant.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, do we have some more questions?
No? Y'all aren't usually shy to share.
Well, me and Stephanie are gonna jump in. Okay, if that's okay.
Yes.
What virtual platforms can you recommend to host online fundraising efforts? This is something that we have been looking into, and I'd love to hear from somebody that has done some research in that area.
You got it.
Bidding for Good we used for our virtual auction, and it was so user friendly. And Kelsey, of course, is so good at everything she does on technology, but she got it everything posted. The pictures were great. Our people said they had fun with it. It's only costing $600 a year, so we can use it for multiple events. And then, of course, they also charge you 5% for whatever you raise. But all in all, we researched several. We researched about 10 different platforms. And we were looking for one that was affordable because we didn't really know how this was going to work for us. So now that we know it works, we might be looking for something that has a lot more to it later down the line. But right now, this one is working beautifully, and we're getting ready to use it again here very soon. So Bidding for Good is what it's called.
Bidding for Good. Oh, thank you. And then, Stephanie, you have a specific question for Kelly? Kelly, what are some of the things that were working for virtual galas when COVID began that aren't working now?
What I've found is in researching and talking with other professional fundraisers that fundraise on a national level, some of the things that they shared with me were the length of the gala. So in the beginning, people were really invested in just glued to screens, trying to learn, trying to connect. And that's just simply not the case anymore. People are starting to numb out again. And so they've told us and recommended that we keep our fundraising gala to the virtual part to no more than 24 to 30 minutes in length.
Mm.
That's really important. You'll start to lose. What we've seen is that the viewership will drop off at about 24 minutes. So if your ask is anywhere after that and you haven't begun it, then you're in trouble already.
That's great.
So you need to have your ask somewhere before the 24-minute mark.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely an area with timing, and we find, especially we're bombarded with so much social media because that's all the world is right now. Yeah, I think attention spans have gotten shorter. I think people don't want to, and I don't know, but that certainly speaks to that kind of what we've been feeling is that quick and short and attract attention and hit it right in the beginning. So I love that.
That also means that you really need to have it planned very well. Every word needs to count. You don't want to, and this is just from, I'm a photographer and I dabble in videography as well. But professionally, I'm a photographer and graphic designer. So I'm always looking at the visual and how clean it is, how sharp it is, you know, and if it's engaging. But you've got to be moving constantly in a video. So you don't want any of your segments longer than 30 to 90 seconds. And there's got to be a cutaway to B-roll. There's got to be a cutaway to another person. There has to be something. Otherwise, their brain will check out. Most of you may already know this, but you've got like 3 seconds to catch someone's attention if they land on your webpage. Well, you can apply those same principles to videography and online engagement when they are not able to be interactive themselves. So having things like scrolling text on the screen, movement, motion, those types of things will help as well.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you. Do we have any other questions?
Ellen?
Because I haven't attended a virtual gala, could you give me just a quick rundown? I mean, I understand what you're saying, having to grab the attention and having to get the ask within the first 24 minutes. But exactly what do you do for a gala? Jill probably can answer that to me anyway, but what did you all do? That's my question, but I don't hear anyone.
I can jump in for a sec. We're in the planning phases of our virtual gala. And so here's how it's going to look. There will be dinner or dessert delivered to our watch party host between 5:30, hopefully at 5:30, but I'm given about a 30-minute window for DoorDash deliveries. And so dinner will be served starting around 6 o'clock in our host homes. And then at 6:30, we will do a live pre-show. The live pre-show will give us a 30-minute window for people to work through technology challenges that are in their homes. And at 7 o'clock, we will seamlessly go into a pre-recorded virtual gala. So we're filming it, and it will be edited, filmed in a professional production this Saturday, and it'll be, you know, in the can by the end of the month. And so we already know what everybody's going to say. It's been highly scripted. I've gone over every word. My CEO's gone over every word, and our board has looked at it, and every single person that has a part in it has it. So we're talking about our organization. We're telling the story. People don't typically give because you have a need. They give because you meet a need. So if you can tell that story, how you're meeting the need, you will be ahead of the game already. And it needs to be a story. It needs to have a beginning, it needs to have a middle, and it needs to have an end. So you're going to want to tie those pieces up nicely. And you can do that through different people telling what they're doing, telling testimonials, stories. And I think it's really important too this year to have a donor testimonial woven into your gala. Why are you giving at this time to this particular organization?
Oh, thank you, Kim.
Helps.
I love that. I love all the ideas that were shared here today. And you know what I love most about this group, and so many of you have voiced it, is that we feel comfortable, and I hope after today that everyone really feels comfortable, you know, reaching out to each other. And if we have questions, I mean, we're all learning together. Everyone here is devoted their lives, you know, to a mission. And I love that we can get together and try and all make it work together and help each other. Thank you again, our speakers, Kelly, Deborah, Katie. Y'all did a wonderful job. We appreciate you sharing with us. And I will move on now to Jenny. Are you going to do chamber announcement? Yeah, that's right. Everybody clap your hands.
Yes, thank you, Sharon. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. We have a busy week, gosh, already next week at the Chamber. So I wanted to let you guys know we have our general membership luncheon next Wednesday, the 26th. I can't believe y'all. How is that crazy? So we would love for you guys to make reservations and join us. We've got a great lineup for you guys on that one. Dana Steele is going to be talking about Rockstar Principles of Success, so you don't want to miss that. Our diplomats group is still meeting regularly, so their next meeting is the 27th, so Thursday at 8:30, right? Isn't that what we're doing still? Perfect. Yes, all our times have been changing around, so I'm always double checking. And then we've started doing a new coffee break. So just a casual networking for 30 minutes on Friday at 9:30. So that'll be next Friday, 9:30, casual networking coffee break if you guys want to join us for that. And then the following week, we'll be having our business development meeting. So it's September 1st at 9 o'clock. And we're going to be doing Networking 101. Right, so networking looks a little different now, so let's talk about that and how we can make that work. So please feel free to join us for any of those events. And then, of course, the next monthly meeting for this group is going to be on the 16th of September. So mark your calendar for that, the 16th of September, and we're going to stay at this 10 o'clock time frame as long as we're virtual for our folks to be able to get kids started for the day and then log in. So that's all I have. We will be sending these out. We'll be doing the recordings and sending them out to the participants. You guys can watch them again, make notes as you have them. And if you have any questions or comments for the steering committee, we would love to take those too. And Joe, did you have a question?
I had a question, Jenny. You talked about one of your meetings being a luncheon next week. Is this a virtual luncheon or?
It is.
Together.
It is a virtual luncheon still. We're hoping to go back to a hybrid model very, very soon, but for now it's still a virtual luncheon. So you buy your ticket like you always would for a general membership luncheon, and then you actually get a gift card from one of our local restaurants for $10 for that event. So yeah, great.
Okay.
Thanks for
I thought
clarifying.
I thought maybe we were eating our peanut butter sandwiches while we were Zooming.
Well, you can do that too.
Yours sounds better.
Awesome, guys. So as you have questions, let me know. And that's all I have for today. So Sharon, do we have anything else to add, or?
That's it.
11 o'clock on the dot, guys. Can't thank you enough for sharing everything. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.